a Scott McTominay for Arsenal and put him in the midfield and maybe reinvest that money into our defense and other places. Let's be honest. If we can get a Wilcott, Willock, how much different is he from Willock? Put Willock into our midfield and have Matteo Guendouzi's money reinvested into the squad to buy a better, more developed midfielder.
The thing is, sorry, Terry. The thing is, right, we're having a conversation here, in my eyes, about the overrated player at Arsenal at the moment. Right, Guendouzi's only been here what, a season and a half. We've got players in our team that's been there 4 or 5 years that should not even be in our team anymore. So, there's a lot more other players in my eyes that we should be picking on instead of Guendouzi.
Okay, so let's move the conversation on from Guendouzi. I'm going to go to Devo next. All the way from who, in your eyes, is the most overrated player in this current Arsenal squad?
Let me start this and preface this by saying, if you're a defender at Arsenal and your name's not Bukayo Saka, you're overrated. None of you have lived up to your billing, but the poster boy for that, for that statement to me has been Hector Bellerin. You're talking about a guy who constantly is, linked and rumored to go back to Barcelona, or, you're talking about £50 million transfers. And I just don't see it. Post-injury, he's okay. He doesn't have the speed that he once had, which makes up for the mistakes. His crossing is below par. The injury record, I'm playing into it. It took a long time for him to come back from that injury. He's never really played back into shape. And now the season's shut down. So if you're talking about somebody who's, and that's the hardest metric, because I sat back and I was thinking about this, talking about players that are overrated. Like, everybody wanted to keep Aaron Ramsey, but he's been not that great for Juventus, whereas everybody wanted to get rid of Mohamed El Neni, and he's been great for Besiktas. So the metrics of rating overrated and things like that, I look at players that people have mentioned Hector Bellerin as a future captain for Arsenal. He better get a lot better. He better get a lot better.
Adam, you're not a fan of that statement?
Bro, Bellerin has no business being the captain of Arsenal.
In
any atmosphere, any realm. No way. No way.
You know what's mad with Bellerin? I want to ask Arsenal fans this question. Do you think when he became a vegan is that it all fell apart for him? It was like, from that moment, he become a vegan, he become an activist, and it's almost like that's been the focal point of his life as opposed to progressing his football career. And maybe I'm just being a bit flippant with it, but there's an element of that feels true.
Well, it's the what it requires to be a Premier League player is more than anybody on this chat has, like, just physically and mentally, and the mental acuity that it takes to be a professional athlete at that level is so high that if you're even, fragmented in any way, shape, or form and not training, then you're not training as hard as you need to. You're not working as hard as you need to. You're not in the film room as much as you need to be. You're not in the weights as much as you need to be. Do I think that being a vegan changes it? No. But do I think that, being worried about other things, like, does this cape fit with my thigh-high boots that I'm wearing? It could. It plays a factor.
Let me be contrarian here. I think Bellerin, we almost underappreciate how valuable he was to Emery's team before he got injured, and how that game against Chelsea, when not the game that he came back, the game that he got injured against Chelsea, up until that run, he was leading the team in assists. He was playing very well. Defensively, yes, he was still rash, but not all the best defenders in the league. Even Kyle Walker is not the best defensively, but he has the physical ability to track back and defend, where Hector Bellerin, the biggest part of his game was that his physical fitness and his pace.
Speed.
If that is suffered because of the injury, that can make him a weaker player. But the thing is, if we take Hector Bellerin and we sell him tomorrow, can we find a replacement that is good enough that will fit into the squad, or is it better for us to keep him?
Yes. Kieran Tierney and Bukayo Saka should be your wing backs. I don't care if they're both left backs. Put one on the right. You've got players that can fill that role, and I still think Zach Medley is going to come up and wreck shop eventually. Just having seen him at the ICC this past year, there are some kids that will come up, and that's the main thing that Arsenal fans need to understand. We're not, I see all these names that are being bantered about, like Upamecano and Umtiti, and we're not in that market. We're not in that market at all. We might go get Thomas Partey because he's got a decent release clause. But if we need to readjust our mind frame and understand that we are probably a selling club right now. And if we can build up from the youth academy, we should. John Jules should come up. we should find a way to get Daniel Malen back from PSV. There are a lot of names that we need to get comfortable with. Emil Smith-Rowe. There's a lot of players that need to come up as opposed to us going out and just buying a name.
For me,
Who rates Bellerin?
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Who rates Bellerin the best in the league or up there? Nobody really rates him that highly. I think he's
Barcelona
rated.
rates him. I mean, obviously, every year he's linked with Barcelona.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but
I mean,
Barcelona's transfer policy for the past 4 years has been so dumb.
Yeah.
I can't trust any signing that they make right now.
No.
Yeah.
They're ordering money. They're
but they're still
Barcelona
Champions League every year.
For me,
I mean, there's still a gold standard.
For me, guys, Beatbox Stray Beats made a comment, and it's exactly right what he said. Pre-injury, before he got injured, he weren't that bad. But while he was injured, Strays said that football is his hobby now. And if you look at it, he's more into his modelling career.
Yeah,
I mean, he, on Instagram, that's all he's bothered about is his Instagram, is his hair, is his fashion, and all. If he put as much work into Arsenal Football Club that he does into fashion, then he wouldn't be a bad right back in my eyes.
We've got a couple of super chats here. I'm going to put up. First one was from earlier on, talking Guendouzi from Original Base Annie, who says Billy Gilmore is better than Guendouzi. It's a bit early to say.
Yeah.
I would suggest on that. And also one here from, I don't know if it's the actual, it looks like it might be, but from Guna Claude TV. I Claude.
Hello, boss man.
I don't know if it's the same. I don't know if it's is that the logo, Claude's logo behind you as well there, Terry, I see.
Yeah.
Repping the new channel. Well done. He says, I agree. Bellerin is more suited to being on the fashion scene. He even said winning is not important. That's a worry. Again, do you know that winning is not, again, I don't want to get too political on this, but that,
Get political, man.
That winning is not important mentality.
Oh,
The Joe's mad with someone like me. I'm kind of, some things I believe in are more on the left side and some things are more on the right side. That's why I consider myself a bit of a centralist but that winning isn't important is a very left-leaning ideology, in my opinion. They're the ones who don't want kids at school to get medals on sports day. Everyone's a winner, but that don't prepare you for real life. And I think that's why I look at Guendouzi and I think it isn't because he's a vegan. There are vegans that are winners in life. That's because they've got the diet, but there are the activist types who they believe in everything in that direction. And I think what it's done for Bellerin is taken away his competitive edge.
yeah.
I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger's a vegan. That guy wins at life.
Yeah, exactly. And so when I say vegan, I'm not talking about somebody that follows a diet. Adam himself was doing it back in January when he was at my house. It looked really boring as well. I was sitting there eating chicken and I was eating like mushroom or something. But I think it's more than that. So my view is it's not being a vegan. It's the activism around it, the left-leaning politics that if they're important to him, I say fair play. But they have, in my opinion, taken a competitive edge away from his game in many ways.
I don't
Terry,
know.
we're going to come to Terry next because I want to hear what you're saying on this one. Tell us who you think's the most overrated player in this current Arsenal squad.
I mean, there's two obviously players that you can pick from. One is obviously Mustafa, but for me is Xhaka. Xhaka for me is absolutely, I'm going to say he's crap. He's absolute rubbish. Right? He's rubbish. He's been at our club for 3 years, 3.5 years before he had that incident at the Emirates when obviously he told all the fans to fuck off and all that. Right? I know people are going to say, that they went on his Instagram and they was calling him out and his family. I understand all of that. But at the end of the day, he's a professional footballer. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, he's a professional footballer. I was there that night. I can't even remember bloody the last 2 days with what's going on at the moment. But I can't remember if we was losing or drawing that game. And
when it 1-1 at the time?
1-1, that was right, yeah. And obviously, for me personally, this is just me personally, I'm not saying everyone. I've not liked him. He come with high expectations. He's never, ever, in my eyes, had a fantastic game and been man of the match. All he does is pass the ball back. He never looks forward. He never goes forward. But
took the words right out of my mouth. I've never seen him play a ball forward.
Yeah, exactly. That night, he was going to be subbed. And there was a few ironic cheers. I was one of them, just saying, you know, after 3 years, how on earth this man gets in our first team, because he would not get in any other team's first team, and that's being truthful. He got a few ironic cheers, and then he's just sloping off like bloody snail's pace. And then, you know what I mean, everyone starts booing him, and then he thinks he's got the right to, you know what I mean, tell fans who pay a lot of money each year, which goes towards his wages, to fuck off. I mean, that's disgusting in my eyes. And obviously, speaking to my dad, the one who took me, you know, and brought me up as an Arsenal fan, took me to all the games when I was a kid and all that, even out of his own mouth, he said, you know what I mean, he can't believe that he's even going to get a game at this club again. He should have been sacked immediately, and he should have been chucked out. I will put it back to you, Terry. Now, if that was under Alex Ferguson, would he have accepted that?
No, he wouldn't have done that. As I said, you know, for me, because you put this on me, I felt what Xhaka did. Xhaka's reaction was wrong. The only thing I blamed in that situation, I need to go back and look at it. I think I wasn't happy with Unai Emery almost throwing him under the bus. What Fergie would have done is handled it behind the scenes. But if one of Fergie's top players was being berated and abused by fans to that degree, he would have come out and said something about that as well. I think the manager should have played both sides in a professional way, protected his player to a certain extent, but also made sure that he was disciplined. But at the same time, telling the fans, you don't talk to one of your own like that. That told me the Arsenal kind of situation was a mess. On his playing ability, I mean, I'm going to throw this out there first of all to Devo, because you were agreeing with him. Do you look at Xhaka as being overrated?
You're talking about the 5th most expensive signing in the history of Arsenal Football Club.
Exactly.